Hi, I'm Clare Dowling. Welcome to episode 7 of the Keep Streets Live podcast, where I've chatted with one of the founders of the Busking project, Nick Broad. What inspired you to set the project up?
I moved to New York in 2004, and I moved in with a street performer. I'm not a street performer myself.
Okay.
And this guy was just amazing. He's a classical musician who completely transformed the underground. And he inspired me at first I was riding my bicycle around New York, just pointing and clicking my camera at various street performers. Then I ended up interviewing some. I made a website called undercovernewyork.com where I was putting these street performers up with contact details. And then I started hearing from some of them that they were starting to get hired by people discovering them on our website.
Great.
And then it sort of just grew from there. I mean, the next step was we wanted to write a book and make a documentary about street performance, me and a couple of friends. So we traveled around the world filming street performers. And then when we came back, we realized that basically street performers all over the world have similar problems. And we thought we'd try and make a website that helped deal with that.
That's fantastic. And you've got a big community of buskers on there. I've just been having a look at it today and over the past few weeks. Our busking outfit, the Moot, we've got a profile on Busker Code.
Yeah, you do.
So the idea is that if people want to hire a busker for an event, they can check out. You've got thousands of buskers all over the world on your website at busk.co, and they can find out. They can have a listen to the music, read a bit about the busker, and hire them for an event or a festival.
Yeah. So we were getting asked the whole time. Once we put up a website in 2014 where Buskers Code registered themselves, we started to get requests from people the whole time. Hey, I'm looking for a street performer in London, or I'm looking for a street performer in Amsterdam, or whatever. And we kept telling people, check out the map or use the search function. But we were getting so many people contact us, we thought we'd make a jobs board. So now on bus.co/hire, street performers can go there, see what jobs are currently open for people to apply to. And clients can go to that URL and say what kind of street performer they're interested in. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and then we help them book it. We think it's a little bit different because for one, we are a level between the busker and the client who may think that some performers want to perform for for exposure only. We get quite a few people who contact us and they're like, yeah, well, we weren't going to pay, but we were thinking of, offering them food or transport or something. So we cut down the number of clients who ask street performers to do free gigs.
That's great.
And we also tell the client about what regular market rates are. Basically, every time we raise the minimum amount that we will accept for a gig on the website, like we used to have no minimum. It was an open form. You could say however much you wanted to pay the performers, and now we've made the minimum £200, or I think 400 Australian dollars. Or
that's brilliant.
But the rate keeps on rising to the minimum. So at the moment, we're getting a lot of £200 events come through. And, these are things like weddings and corporate events. And I have to keep messaging them and say, hey, look, the going rate for this kind of event is probably a little higher than you're trying to pay, especially with weddings. It takes quite a long time to get there and, set up. And there's quite a lot of pressure, and you have to be ready on time, which means getting there beforehand. And
that's right. It can take a full day to do a wedding, for example.
We just warn clients that they should be prepared to negotiate when they do that. But anyway, so it's just a sort of a free service that we use. We've tried to automate as much as possible so each event doesn't take too much time to book. And
excellent. So it's nice and efficient. As a busker, if I sign up to be a member to busk.co, what do I get?
If you sign up, you get a free profile. Basically, everything that I'm going to say is free unless I say otherwise. So you can add your bank details, and that will enable you to get Apple Pay and Android Pay, or now Google Pay, in the street. You can also get PayPal payments and card payments. So you just display a little sign with your URL, and then people can go and tip you. We don't take a commission for that, but you can also upload music and then sell that straight to people's phones.
Right. Okay. And can I pay Busk.co a little bit extra to get anything, a bit extra for my membership?
Yeah, so we do have pro accounts. We've only just launched them a few months ago, and one of the features, you can go to busk.co/pro to read them all. But one of the features is we publish a list of the festivals that you can apply to that have open calls right now. So
that's good.
I think our current list has has festivals from, I think, about 12 or 13 countries all over the world, with all the details. So it tells you where the festival is, what date it's on, how to apply, what they're looking for, etc., etc. But also the way that searches on our site work is if you have got fans and you get loads of views and you have people tipping you, or you've uploaded media, because obviously we want to promote the profiles on our website which have the best media, right? The most have photos and videos and are better to look at. So if you do all of that, you get points.
Okay.
And the points depend on A, how good your profile is, but B, how popular you are on the site. And if you become a pro, we give you some bonus points, which will push you up the search rankings.
Well, that sounds great. I might do a little bit more interacting on Busk.co, because I haven't really looked at it, if I'm honest. We put our profile up there a few years ago and didn't really do much with it, but I'm going to go and explore it.
I mean, most people do. I think it's about half and half. Half of the people just create a profile. They just have a profile photo, and then they never come back. And then about half the people on our website, they do actually add photos and bios, and they put in their minimum fee for events and all that kind of stuff. And,
excellent.
Yeah, so I would like people listening to this to know that although it can be daunting to see that there are something like 800 street performers signed up in London, you will rise to the top of that list pretty easily just by following the instructions when you register. It'll take you maybe, 20, 30 minutes to make a complete profile, and then you're most likely going to be one of the top results for searches.
Well, that's great. I've just been reading on your blog as well that you've been doing some research into busking.
Yeah, we've always worked with activists like Keep Streets Alive, Johnny Walker, and Berlin Street Music, and people around the world.
Yeah.
And the thing that we always come up against when we've been helping these other people is that there's just no data out there that shows councils that buskers are good for cities. I mean, I can take a council member by the hand down to Covent Garden or something and show them 400 people standing around clapping and laughing, but unless I can provide them data like there is a 10% increase in foot traffic to central London because of these street performers, or the streets are X% safer when you have a popular street performer there because there's always eyes on the street and they feel like less threatening places. Unless we can find them data and statistics to prove what is, what I believe is evidence that busking is good for a city, then it's very difficult to argue to defend busking.
It will certainly help the cause to promote busking as a positive activity for cities and towns.
And you know what this is like with what you've just been through. You're trying to defend yourselves in court, and the judge who's sitting at the other end, they know nothing about street performance. They have no idea what you do or the problems that you go through. Yeah,
that's right.
So, I mean, when we ask for grant funding, for example, from people in the arts industries, we have to go, about half of our grant applications are us trying to explain what busking is, because people just simply don't know. And so the reason why we're doing research, we've just joined the Street Music Research Group, which is an Australian-based bunch of academics. They're musicologists, economists, lawyers, sociologists, people of all different disciplines who have an interest in busking. So this group is doing stuff like researching things like the psychological impact buskers will have on their audiences and vice versa. How laws will affect the type of art that gets produced and the impact of certain laws on your ability to earn.
Hmm.
You know, these kinds of questions where, you know, Galway Council has just put in a basically an all-out ban on amps before 6 p.m. and
Yeah,
banning dangerous acts and all this kind of stuff. They have no idea what the impact of this is going to have on their street performers. So what we'd
that's
like to
right.
do is research this and be able to come back, you know, in a year or two with data that says if you put on an amp ban, street performers in your area will lose whatever, 30%,
Yeah,
50% of their income.
that's a great idea. Really good.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to ask you about on your website, the Buskers Galaxy. Is this a new
Yeah.
part of your site?
Yeah, I've just been going through it this morning. So the idea is Wikipedia works very well because people put up a whole bunch of data onto it, and you know, you can browse through the articles, and you know, if you need to know something about, I don't know, French pottery or something, there's probably a Wikipedia article up there that'll help you out.
Yeah.
For street performance, yes, we need informational articles so people can see what busking is about. But we were also thinking that we need somewhere that buskers can report when they've been fined or arrested, for example. So
Yeah.
again, with Keep Streets Live, I think Chester has just done research into which councils around the UK have passed PSPOs, public space protection orders, against street performers.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe unsurprisingly, he found out that that information is not stored by the UK government anywhere. So
Yeah, it's a problem.
yeah. We were thinking that if we created a resource where buskers could upload when new legislation is being passed,
Mm-hmm.
then somebody who works at Keep Streets Live could get notifications of any time somebody uploads that information, and then you would stay on top of the new laws and arrests and fines that are happening around the UK.
Yeah, that would be really useful as a busker as well. You know, if you had a central place where you could go to get information
And just see
about that.
where the busker's being arrested, like what corners
Yeah.
are the hotspots for. And also,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of street performers, especially the newer ones, won't know that a private security guard can't touch you, right? So having a place where somebody can report what happened to them might help them get those street performers help from other buskers who will read this and be like, oh really, you keep on getting moved on from in front of this street corner. These people aren't actually allowed to touch you or your stuff, and you can, next time they come approach you, you can tell them, I respectfully refuse to move on.
Yeah, that sounds good. One problem that we've got in the UK at the moment, in England, is the problem with land, you know, being large chunks of public land being sold off to private companies.
Yeah.
And so what would have been public property, say, for many years, has now been bought up by a private company. So if you're busking on that piece of land, then and it is privately owned, then it would be great if we could have a map of, you know, showing the areas that have been brought up by private companies, because the law of trespass might apply there. I'm not sure, but that's something that we need to get some legal advice on.
Yeah, as far as Chester is concerned, and Tom Allen and some other people, if it has been part of the public realm for X years, I mean, I don't know how much time, but something, whatever, 20 years or something.
Yeah.
And if these private interests do not restrict the flow of people walking through it, in other words, they don't put gates up or charge entrance fees or whatever, then that land can be said to still be public. In other words, if some private company comes down and buys up the right to manage Leicester Square, unless they start charging people entrance to Leicester Square, they cannot ban buskers from there. But but that's not what the people who are buying the land think. These managers of public land, you know, these pseudo public spaces, they believe that they have the right to kick anybody out. And right, I think we do need legal help on that. And I mean, that's another thing that we're doing in this guide, is we're putting up all the different organizations that can help you wherever you are in the world. So in Brazil, you'd be able to get in contact with Artistas na Rua, In Berlin, it would be Berlin Street Music. In the UK, it would be Keep Streets Live. In the US, it would be Buskers Advocates until they retire.
Yeah,
You know,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a giant resource, and it's a bit of a headache because I don't know if we'll actually be able to build it.
Yeah, well, it would be massive. So much data needs to be collected,
and we can't collect all the data ourselves. We would need to be able to give people the ability to upload their own data because we don't speak every language in the world. So and we're a team of 4 people at the moment, which is way too small for something like this. The problem with that, once you have people uploading data, you need to be able to moderate it.
And it becomes like a Wikipedia thing then, doesn't it? And it still needs to be kind of moderated, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. And people have, they've created profiles on our website before that are basically pornographic. I mean, pornographic thumbnail photos and text and links and stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't always catch when this happens. So it's sometimes, a profile like that will have been up on our website for months before we catch it to take it down. And creating a whole new section on our website where people can upload data is,
that's a
bit of a
massive
headache.
thing. Yeah.
And it's a bit disheartening as well because we believe that something like this is necessary for the busking community, or not necessary, but very helpful. And we've gone to all the traditional sources for grant funding, a lottery and private institutions, private philanthropists. And we fill in these forms on their website saying, look, we're looking for £27,000 to build something that has the potential to transform, protect, whatever, improve the lives of buskers worldwide.
Yeah.
And either they're not able to fund us because we don't have any ticket sales. So we can't tell them, because these are going to be arts grants and they want to know how many bums are going to be on seats. And what am I going to say? I mean, how many people are going to come and stop at your next show, right?
Yeah. It doesn't fit into a little box that they can tick.
Exactly. And then also we don't sell tickets, so we can't show revenue from tickets sold. So that's another thing that a lot of arts grants want. And then other ones are saying, well, it's not really art, it's more of like a tech thing or a community thing, you should apply for that kind of grant. And then the tech and community grants, they're saying, well, it's not really a tech or community thing, you should be applying for arts grants.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're finding it difficult, but we're going to start crowdfunding it and
that's brilliant.
To chip in.
Yeah, crowdfunding is a great idea, definitely.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you how you found the cashless thing going with the buskers on your site at the moment, because we do PayPal and that's going okay for us,
Is it? So you display a sign with a PayPal link or something, and
we don't tend to get too much of that on the street. We get some PayPal through streaming it live on Facebook, and then people will tip us through that. But on the street, I mean, maybe it's the places we play in. We tend to play in smaller towns and stuff. So if we were playing in bigger cities, maybe we would get more PayPal drops. But the cashless thing, I'm not sure. I think it's busking is an old tradition, isn't it? And the world is changing very fast, So it's keeping up with all of that.
Yeah, and if you look at the comments online when a newspaper comes out and says that the buskers are going cashless, you see the comments underneath, and there's a whole bunch of people who are worried that buskers are going to steal their credit card details, or make jokes about, oh, the beggars have got card readers now, bank accounts now, blah blah blah. And I really think that all of the problems facing street performers can all be tied back to basically negative public opinion. I mean, we all know at worst people think of buskers as beggars or homeless or drug addicts or cheaters or opportunists or whatever. But even at best, you've probably had this as well. People come up to us. I've watched people watch a street performers show, laugh their heads off, or whatever, cry with tears of joy at the music or something. Come up to them afterwards and say, "Oh, that was so good. You should be a professional." It's like, well, they are a professional, and you can relate that way of thinking that somehow buskers are failed artists, or they're unprofessional, or there's something wrong with them. You can relate that to the negative legislation that comes out restricting street performers, to the fear overpaying buskers with cashless payments, to the fact that people come to our website sometimes. I mean, sometimes we get really, really high paying gigs, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. But other times, I mean, quite often we get people coming to our website who are just thinking that buskers would be happy to get an indoor show where they can have a free drink.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yep.
you know,
I mean,
I think
we have that as well as buskers. You know, we've had people contact us over the years saying, "Oh, will you come and play at my market? And I can, you know, I can pay you 20 quid for your fuel or whatever." And there is a bit of a stigma that goes along with it for sure. And people don't understand, you know, that busking itself, it's really good fun. You know, you have a lot of freedom as a busker. You know, you get to play what you want and play out in the fresh air. There's so many benefits to busking. It's wonderful. And the amount of people that come up to you and say, "Oh, you should go on Britain's Got Talent" or whatever, you know, well, no thanks, you know.
Do you know we get contacted every year by every Got Talent. So because we have street performers now in 122 countries, if that country has a Got Talent branch, franchise, I suppose, then that country, somebody from that Got Talent will get in contact with us. So every year we get emails from Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, Netherlands Got Talent, just everywhere.
Wow.
Asking us if we would get the word out about their thing to street perform. So actually, there's been a couple less this year than normal. So maybe they've got the message that we will never.
Hi.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's great that the work that you're doing to help promote buskers and busking, Nick. Thanks for chatting to me today on the Keep the Streets Live podcast. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
I think the only thing I would add is if anybody's curious about why we haven't gotten back to their email recently, we've just moved from Colombia, where we were based for the last 4 years, to Finland, which we're going to be living here for the next couple of months. And everything has just been completely up in the air. So if anybody's listening out there who's messaged me on Facebook or sent me an email or something, and I haven't gotten back to you, that's why I cannot tell you how behind I am on my work. So
anyway, that's wonderful.
Now.
Thank you, Nick Broad.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Yeah, cheers.
Lovely to chat. See you later.